MusicalTalk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. And today we start with the opening number from the show that MusicalTalk made its Pick of the Fringe 2013, Take It Interns.
There's a book for every hour, a thought for every shower. I can't stand sitting or wasting time passes by, and you have to use it wisely. But what strikes me the most is that people don't notice chances, not something you can take for granted. I've said before, when opportunity knocks, I go running to the door. Dear Sir or Madam, to whom it may concern, I am writing with intent to apply for the internship advertised in the Christian Post. It goes without saying that I firmly believe that I'm the perfect candidate for this job. Ever since I was a child, I've been fascinated by the advertising world, an ever-changing industry. Open brackets. Not only is my work ethic second to none, but I am driven and unwavering in my dedication to any task given to me. Close brackets. As the Bible says, if you eat the fruit of your labour, blessings and prosperity will be yours. Yours sincerely, Amanda Payne-Wright.
I had a revelation in my private education that not everyone is equal. Opportunity is a myth to give immunity from the petulant moans of the lower community. Teenage life wasn't too hard for me, and every day more opportunities knock that I have to turn away.
Dad, it's Albert. I've just spoken to your mate from Cicero Advertising. Got an interview. Yeah, no, don't worry, I mentioned it. My dedication is my means to success. Went down a treat. Tomorrow at 9. Will you tell Harper to pick me up at past? Great. Okay, ciao papa. See you at dinner.
Alarm set for 6:30 to prepare myself for interview. A precious 2 weeks out of 6, formal blouse, and I'll have to tie my hair up. But this is the moment to stop being alone. A real purpose, a valued asset to a team. It's drawing near, an opportunity's knock that'll get me out of here. The 16th of February, 8:35 p.m, bedroom. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. Well, tomorrow is. I finally got my internship interview sorted out, and I can't wait to be actually doing something real. Who knows, maybe in 7 days' time I'll have something more interesting to talk about in here than Melanie Horganfield's horrible comments and Johnny from biology. Fingers crossed. Alice.
What are we living for? What is a living for? When opportunity knocks, it's not something you ignore.
I've got too many teachers who insist on being preachers. I wish they'd all sod off and die. Feel it's like being in the second, third Reich. I'll run for the border, I'm growing sick all the while. Be a superstar before I'm 20. So I say, when opportunity knocks, it'll be back any day. 3 words? Does it have to be 3 or can it be 4?
It has to be 3, I'm afraid.
Okay, right. Well, I am Amber.
Great. Well, hello, Amber. So, tell me why you're here.
To be completely honest, my school made me. Said I bulked up the CV or something.
I see. And have you had any experience in advertising then?
Oh God, yeah, loads. I mean, I watch them all the time.
Fantastic. So tell me about yourself, Amber. What really gets you going?
I don't know. I guess I like art. It's really like...
Oh shit, a fish. Sorry. I'm late, aren't I? You know what? You just carry on. I'll just be... Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. There's always someone nagging about my academic slacking, and I should choose which path to following rules is proving tiresome and grueling. But what is the harm in my joking and charming, wasting my days away by misbehaving? But that is why the opportunity knocks for the bloke next door, then passes by. When opportunity sees she has bigger fish to fry.
What are we living
Life
for?
doesn't open
What
doors.
is worth living for? When opportunity knocks, you should answer every call. Or next week she may decide not to ring at all.
Mum? Yeah, it's me. I know. Yeah, it started at 9, but I missed it. Mum? No, of course not on purpose. Well, the bus. Yes, I know it's my own fault. I told you it was a bad idea anyway, it's just not... Yeah? Yeah, I know, Mum. I'm sorry. Yeah, alright, Mum. I'll try. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye. Bye.
What are we living
I've
for?
seen it all before.
What is a living for?
I'm on my knees to face what life throws at me. I'll stand up and take it to see who I can be. Yes, I'm willing to pay the price of a mediocre life coming through, pulling through. 'Cause opportunity knocks. When opportunity knocks, and opportunity knocks, it will visit you in turn.
Hello and welcome to Musical Talk. I'm Thos Ribbits, a man of distinction, a real big spender. Oh no, that's a song, isn't it? Well, you've just heard a song, in fact. It was the opening number from Take It Interns. And that, as I've already said, was this year's Musical Talk Pick of the Fringe. And today is, either sadly or happily, depending on choice, the last episode looking at the musical shows you could have seen at this year's Edinburgh Festival Fringe. But, whilst it's the end of the line, in one sense, it's also the beginning in another, because the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is more than just an arts festival. A lot of the shows were either in development or using the Fringe as stopping off points to go further. And so I'm pleased to say that in today's episode, not only will we be looking at the show that we consider to be the pick, we'll also look at some shows which have been on at the Fringe either this year or last year, which have gone on or are going on to further productions. Because the wonderful thing about the Edinburgh Fringe is quite a lot of the better shows do have further lives. So later in the programme we'll be going, well, I'd like to say beyond the Fringe, but of course that phrase has already been used rather successfully over 50 years ago, so it does feel a bit cheap to reuse it, but you get the idea. However, first things first, the pick of the Fringe. Take It Interns, from 1945 Productions, who are Ronan Shields, Harry Zundel and Ollie Feather. It was a fantastic show, there's just no doubting it. It showed such promise, such sophistication, such craft. It was very funny and it had a heart. Beautifully performed by all the cast. Really, there was nothing I could do to fault it. So I didn't. So in a minute you'll be hearing from Ronan, Harry and Ollie as we have a nice in-depth discussion about this fabulous show, Take It Interns. And before that, let's hear another song from the score. It's called Guilty Pleasures and we'll be discussing that in the interview after you've heard it. Musical Talk.
I've always known what's considered to be tasteful. I've always understood the concept of tawdry. I've always grasped what others deem graceful. I've always masked my feelings for the gaudy. I wouldn't raise an eyebrow at something that was highbrow, more focused on the know-how to appreciate the lowbrow. And somehow I've fallen for guilty pleasures, guilty pleasures. Always lower all the leisures of my life. The pressure of my gentry is my bind on my mind and soul. My tastes are elementary. Look inside and you'll find a fool. I'm come to my core and there's nothing I can do at all. I've never risen for the Great British Bake Off, never written a poem, but I've written off a Peugeot. I'm allergic to Pims, does that make me a fake toff? I tried playing polo, but I think it's absurd, so I've tried execrating low art and elevating high art, but there's trouble that's been brewing at the bottom of my heart that somehow I've fallen for. Guilty pleasures, guilty pleasures. I'll show her the true measure of my mind. There's pressure to be faithful to my genes, to my DNA. A family to obey, forcing these shameful archaic ways. So why have I fallen? Father always tipped his glasses to the middle classes. Never meet a chap from Liverpool at a boarding school. So why have I fallen for guilty pleasures, guilty pleasures? Always lower all the leisures of my life. The pressure of my gentry is my bind, and that's all I have. My tastes are elementary. Look inside and you'll find a chav. I'm common through and through, so why don't she like me too? My guilty pleasure.
I'm Harry Zundel, I'm the co-songwriter of Take It Interns.
I'm Ronan Shields. I'm another one of the co-songwriters and the musical director and arranger of Take It Interns.
I'm Ollie Feather, and I am another one of the co-songwriters of Take It Interns.
Well, I do feel that we have three of the wise men behind the show today. But now, Title of Show's been running, well, a good week or so, has it not? We're halfway through the festival as we record this. How's it going for you all, first of all?
Yeah, pretty good. We've been pretty overwhelmed and really quite pleased with the reaction it's been getting. I guess because this is the first time we've actually put the show on, you never really know how it's going to go down with audiences. And it's been quite a pleasant surprise, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly gone down, better than we sort of expected it to, which is obviously a bit negative on our part. But we've been surprised and gratified by how well it's gone down. And as someone tweeted yesterday, it's got sort of the makings of a cult Fringe show, which is quite nice as well in a way. And I think musicals get that sort of cult following. There were some girls in yesterday who know all the lyrics to all the songs. Yeah, they've seen it
6 times so far, which is lovely. And then there's still another 13 performances to go. So
you'll see them 13 more times.
Well, yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, they as they left yesterday, they did say that they were planning to come in at 10 o'clock tonight. So it'd be nice to see them again. I think it's slightly off-putting for some of the actors as they mouth all of the words to the entire show. But yeah, we don't mind. I think it's great. It's lovely for us. Yeah.
And you've now got understudies. Marvellous.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you joke, but one of them actually said in the bar yesterday, if you need an understudy, then just remember I'm here.
She's a little number for us as well. It's quite cute, actually.
So you're auditioning for next year's show already?
Yeah, well, unofficially. Yeah.
Now, you've had several sellouts, have you not?
Yeah, I think 4.
That's very promising, and quite early on in the run as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think last week there was a kind of Wednesday to Saturday was quite a busy period, and we sold out pretty much all of those nights, which was really, really nice.
Unexpected, but wonderful nonetheless.
So positive all the way.
Well, just because we hadn't really had any reviews out at that point, we had only just got our posters up.
Had no flyers.
Our publicity materials were limited, so we were. That was the main reason that we were kind of so pleased to get the big crowds that we have been getting.
So what do you think that is? Because you've been performing on the Mile, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of that.
I see your name on the list every now and then. How does that go? How do you select songs because you're really fighting a crowd there, you know,
Yeah.
there are people juggling fire with their faces, just 4 metres away normally, you know. So how do you draw the audiences, and what have you picked as your plums?
I mean, you want songs that kind of will stand alone, out of context of the show, that are kind of going to get people interested, whether or not they know the storyline. So there are a few numbers in the show which work quite well like that. There are also a few numbers which I think drag people in, sort of like big numbers with nice harmonies and things which people just take to. I think
big harmonies are things that people, I think, hear on the mile and they stop to listen to, and it makes them smile and draws them in.
I think it's got to be impressive, as well as you need the backing of the full cast pretty much, because you need to make the sound, because it's so easy for a lot of our songs are solo numbers, and having 1 or 2 people or even 3 on the stage, however lovely it sounds, it's not going to draw the crowds in if no one can hear it.
Yeah. It's unmiked, isn't it? You are just using the old-fashioned techniques of amplification from the diaphragm.
But we've had a few band members out there as well, though, which has been quite nice. Even just visually, if people see a band, I think they're quite drawn in with that. But
taking the cello out, it's a good look.
Well, also it says professional, doesn't it? This isn't just a group of people
I
singing,
guess so,
because there's an awful lot of sort of choirs and male voice choirs and bands and things like that. Whereas you're saying, look, here's a show, performance and music. Good lord.
Well, even in the show, I think people have said that we pull the curtain back at the end to reveal the band. A lot of people have said, "Oh, I just assumed it was a backing track." So it's
really? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's
obviously perfect.
Well, or at least noticeably done.
Right, we'll talk about that later.
That's for another day, I think.
Yes, when it's all gone horribly to recriminations.
Catch us on a bad day and then ask us.
We'll talk about this without the musical director.
But what songs have you picked for the mile? I'm interested to know, you say you've obviously gone for the chorus ones, which can give you some sense of volume. And
The ones that we picked that seem to stand alone, the song that comes after the kind of halfway point of the show as we wrote it, the end of Act 1, and it opens with Act 2 opens with a love song called Guilty Pleasures, which is from the perspective of a bloke who's fallen in love with a girl who he considers slightly below his stature, which is obviously
more intelligent than him.
Yeah, exactly, of course, and he's the idiot. But it's a very, very funny song. Like he sort of sings it with a passion that's so insulting to her. He's completely unaware of how insulting he's being, and it's a very funny situation, and you can pick up on it quite quickly because of the actress who plays Amber, which is Elliot Salt. She reacts so well to what he's saying that it becomes very, very funny indeed.
I think it's quite an unconventional love song. I mean, to listen, if you weren't listening to the lyrics, you might think, "Oh, what a lovely romantic song." But actually,
I think at the point that he turns around to her and says, "Father always tipped his glasses to the middle classes. You'd never meet a chap from Liverpool at my boarding school." And she's from Manchester, and she's in the background going, "I'm not from Liverpool. I'm from Manchester." And
just generic North, isn't it? It is a hilarious number, actually. The moment you described it again, it all came back. So very positive. And that gets the audience going, is it, on the mile?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, we have the problems with volume and stuff with just only one guy singing, but I think so. And they do some very funny physical stuff.
Ed Richards, who plays Bertie, hops into the crowd and kind of moves about the crowd a bit, which is that's nice, and he's got a lovely kind of voice that travels quite far. So
he's also got a great kind of sort of physical gangly comedy going on as well, if I may say, because he's very tall, isn't he?
Well, he's in another show here which is called Captain Morgan and the Sands of Time, which has been doing extremely well. It's got, I think, pretty much exclusive. And pretty much all 5-star reviews. But it's a pirate comedy where he plays between him and another guy. They play 44 characters, and it takes place at 8:15 or something, and then he has to make it to interns for 10 o'clock.
Yeah, he literally runs across North Bridge.
20 minutes. He comes and we put his mic on, and every night I'm putting his mic down his back, and there's just a lovely film of sweat that covers my hand as I'm trying to. It's nice.
Well, you get to know people very well
you do
in this industry, and presumably he's running on Red Bull, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So you've been down the mile. You're getting good responses, good reviews. You've had 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Not just from MusicalTalk, other esteemed organisations. How does that feel? I mean, obviously, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
I mean, great. I mean, last year we didn't get the esteemed 5-star, so I think that was the aim this year to go for the big 5.
We wanted to sell out, and we wanted to get 5 stars.
Yes. Well, you've done.
Small aspirations.
Things I know now.
But yeah, we're really, really pleased actually. It's been really nice. I mean, it's one thing to go down well with audiences, but then for it to go down well with critics as well is really, really gratifying.
Obviously, in Edinburgh, the critics are a slightly mixed bag because it's so bureaucratic. We've got one review which is written by someone. It was a nice review. It's 4 stars, but it's written by someone who seems to have wanted to hate every aspect of the show and has been surprised by literally every moment.
There's a brilliant soundbite.
Ordinary review.
It actually does. The soundbite from it is far better than it has any right to be, which I found hilarious. I think it's brilliant.
As was her review. So. Now, I've got to ask you, the thing about a show is there's a world of difference between writing it and rehearsing it and then putting it on. So I'm going to ask you the question, what has the audience taught you about Take It Interns?
That actually things which, I mean, it always happens when you're doing a show. You rehearse it for however long and then you sit back and watch it and you think, oh, is that good? Is that funny? I just don't know. Because obviously we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
You lose sight.
Yeah, you completely lose perspective. And I mean, we've learned that actually probably to have a little bit more faith in ourselves because they are finding it funny, almost laughing from start to finish, which is really, really nice.
I think because the story took so long to develop on our part, it was a story that was very worked, it's almost lost any emotional connection on our part, and we forget certainly that it's quite an emotional story in a way, like there's a poignant ending of sorts. Yeah, exactly, and so I think that we can't see that anymore, certainly. But audiences definitely come out and they
stone-hearted rappers.
I know, yeah. I don't care about any of them. But audiences come out and they seem to care about the characters, which is great because you're meeting, particularly in this show, there's 9 characters, all of which have quite a lot to say for themselves. So an audience is meeting a lot of people, and those girls that I mentioned earlier who have been lots of times, they're very fond of the lead character, this slightly charming, idiotic lead character. And when he comes on stage, when he disappears for some of the show and then he comes back and there's an audible reaction from the audience when he arrives back. So I think the characters are making people,
But also, especially as the story is quite simple, we wanted to keep it very simple just so that we could really, I think, get to the core of the relationships in the story. So I think we're a little bit apprehensive about how people would take to that, the simplicity of it, because I don't know, maybe we were thinking, maybe people are going to want a little bit more. Is this enough? But I think I think the simplicity of it is quite nice in a way.
I think you undersell yourselves by calling it simple, though, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, it's a linear plot, and it unfolds, but it has twists and turns. It's clever and
it's arguably in that respect quite a complex plot. Yes. It's quite plot heavy as a show, but obviously the theme of it is simple compared to last year's show, which was about the beginning of all things.
But I think what I mean by that is that the twists and turns, they're not necessarily big events. They're little small things which happen in people's everyday lives. So there is no kind of extraterrestrial kind of whatever. But maybe that's what people are taken to, because they are things which could happen in people's everyday lives. And so in that way, maybe quite relatable.
It's comic realism, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
I think certainly the character who's played by Daisy Jacobs, who is Fiona, who's the female office worker, Mr. Cicero's PA. I think her character rings true of a lot of people, and the song that we wrote this time next year is we've been toying with it because it's we're not 100% sure whether it's the route we want to go down, but we had a review the other day that said it's what was it? It's a poignant song that talks about kind of the trials and tribulations of a middle-aged person in an office environment that they don't particularly want to be in, and I think that is very relatable to a lot of people that just plod along with doing the living through the
exactly. The first couple of lines, eternally tying me down, still stuck in the first job I found, which I think I mean, is a fear for a lot of people, and probably a reality for a lot of people as well, that you kind of you get stuck into the mundane office life, and you just that's just how your days play out. And she's not happy, but she's not distraught about it. She just gets on with it.
Well, she's also at the heart of the organisation. I mean, let's face it,
Yeah.
without her, the whole organisation
Exactly,
would
yeah.
Everyone else is a waster or an idiot or both.
Yeah.
But it's good that people have got the patience for a song like that in a musical comedy. It's good that we can sort of bring people into some seriousness. Obviously, ultimately the most important thing with the musical comedy is to make people laugh, but there is that one moment that we're allowed, I think, which is nice.
Well, also, you end it perfectly with her. We spoke about this before the recording, actually, that I thought it was a masterstroke, I genuinely do. But most people walk away from this with happiness or redemption or some kind of positivity, and then suddenly she's left alone in an empty office, knowing that she's actually the one who's keeping everything afloat, really.
Yeah.
With no consideration and no respect and no understanding, no appreciation whatsoever. She's trapped. And then the lights just go down on her as she's tidying the desk. And it's so... You've been very up for the proper ending, as it were, and then you've got this little wistful coda.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely perfect. It's just that little bit of grit in your oyster, if I may
we've
say.
sort of been referring to that last scene as an epilogue almost to the show, which both ties up the loose ends but also gives you that last little moment, which is good. I
think her story is kind of tied up in a way that she kind of gets the realization that actually she is the kind of thing that's grounding the organisation, and I think the interns I know the interns have a lot to thank her for, and I hope she realises that at the end.
Certainly a lot of credit has to go there to our co-writers Letty Thomas and Theo Schofield, who wrote the book, because they were always very keen on that ending, and they write it very well. There's this kind of touching ending between her and Archie, the lead male character, and then she's left there, and it's all written very carefully into the stage directions of the script. So it's always been planned that way, certainly.
Well, you have such a strong narrative, because I remember when we were talking previously, in the previous episode of MusicalTalk, we were talking about how important it was for you to write an original story.
Yeah.
And you've succeeded absolutely in spades with that. Forgive me, it's a great story. It's simple enough to understand, but it is complex. So I think you're both right, by the way. But it's absolutely grounded. And because it's grounded, you've been able to build this really fantastic structure on top of it, with the score and the music and the performances and pretty much everything else. It just hits all the buttons all the right way over, I think.
Thank you very much.
But what, if anything, have the audience told you doesn't work so well? I know this is you might want to touch on this. Or are there any moments of audience response you think, oh, that's completely different to what I was expecting? And your faces are telling me yes.
There's one thing that's been hotly debated back in the flat, I think. And it's the character of...
You mean the palace in which you're dwelling as successful?
I mean, that's not actually far off. It's a very nice flat.
well, the one that Ronan's living in. Harry and I are in
Crap Flat.
Crap Flat. Are we allowed to say crap?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Say what you like. Don't worry.
Crap Flat. And
has it got a crap cat flat? Do you call it crap flat?
We don't. But I don't think I'd be able to say that, even if it did.
For stray crap cats.
Yeah. Should we move back? Mr. Cicero, who is the
mad owner,
who is the mad CEO of the company, Cicero Entwistle O'Malone, is his full name. I think that tells you pretty much all you need to know about him. He has some.
I must say, it's fabulous. I know everyone will be spotted, but he wears belts and braces
and no shoes.
Bare feet, yeah.
Belts, braces, and bare feet. So maybe that's the title of our next musical.
The Further Adventures.
Yeah. The audience haven't always taken to his lines. He's an extraordinary character.
Played by an extraordinary actor as well.
Yeah.
Cometh the man, cometh the moment.
Yeah.
At one point, he has an internal monologue where he hears his name. Someone says Cicero as she's picking up the phone, and he goes off on a tangent and starts babbling, and even singing at one point, just to himself. And I mean, I sit there and I think that it's hysterical, but the audience, I don't know whether they're confused.
It's night to night. It's very different. So sometimes I think it really depends on the reaction from when he first walks on stage. If they really take to him then I mean they go with it for the rest of the play. Some nights he gets a proper applause on his last exit, and proper cheer. But some nights it falls a little bit flatter. I don't think it's ever gone down like a lead balloon.
No, I don't think it.
But there are certainly some nights where I'm sitting there and he walks on and I think, God, this is just too weird. It's just too much.
Yeah. I mean, because his lines aren't actively funny, they're just strange. And maybe that's actually quite nice, because a lot of the other characters are comedy characters, whereas this, you have to, it entirely relies on the actor to make that part funny, which is a real challenge for him. And I know he finds it quite uncomfortable knowing that he's got to walk on and say lines that are essentially weird, but he's got to make them not just weird but funny.
They also don't make sense. In this internal monologue he starts off about blatant lies and trumped up charges and catch it while it's hot. Have you put pudding on? It's an assemble of words that have no meaning whatsoever.
Ping-ponging around.
I feel a bit bad that we've given so much time talking about this aspect of the script because it's actually the one bit that we're not sure about. But the rest of the script is absolutely brilliant.
That was the question. Is there anything that the audience has taught you that is maybe not so brilliant? But
I mean, forgive me, I think he acts as a splendid counterpoint, because actually he gives you not downtime, but there's time out.
Exactly.
For him.
It's good.
And actually, in a way, it's also useful to assimilate what's going on elsewhere. So you're listening to him and you're thinking, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
But at the same time, then should we say the narrative starts again.
Yeah.
And you've just had a chance to breathe and think, and you're ready with it to go.
Yeah,
so actually,
I
think it holds a useful, functional.
Yeah.
I love the character.
Yeah.
I think he's.
Anything else that we?
Go on. I've got a question for you about this in a minute, but I want to see if you raise it first.
This time next year, we've actually been toying with putting in a different song in its place.
Now, let's explain. This is the PA, the chief executive, who's ready to hold him the place together, and she's got a sort of an 11th hour song with realisation.
Kind of
which is this
we
song.
touched on earlier.
Yes.
Will I be here this time next year?
Should I be here this time next year? Really?
And we like the sentiment of the song, but we just basically musically, we're not really sure if it's up to scratch. So we've kind of been toying around with other ideas, and we're thinking about maybe replacing it at some point. I mean, even if it just to try it out for a few nights to see how it goes down.
The difficulty you've got there, if you don't mind me saying, just structurally, is the fact that you're getting towards the end of the plot anyway. So there's lots of resolutions looming, and you've got lots of, not similar songs, but lots of characters getting to their moment of realisation, whether it be in song or in drama. Of course, it's another one of those, which is, it's right, it should be, but you're quite right. You have to question whether it's, whether it should be there or whether. I'm not saying I liked it. I thought it was good. But
lots of people like it for what it is, for the moment, as a moment in a play. It's really important. A lot of people are walking away saying some people said it was their favourite song, because I think the moment is very poignant and it matters a lot to a lot of people. So it's
the most relatable thing.
It's very relatable, and you really can feel sorry for her, particularly as a young person. You sort of look at her and feel really bad, and you can
feel sorry for yourself if you're an older person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in a different way, a different sort of response. But everyone seems to like it for different reasons. But we just think it's not as strong as the other songs, and that people are being a bit fooled by how much they like the sentiment, and that.
I think lyrically, it's probably one of our strongest songs.
I think lyrically, it's quite. It definitely does the job that it needs to do. But I think it's probably just us just not being. I don't know, that fulfilled with it, or
the last two reviews that we've had have picked that out as picked the song. I mean,
positively.
Positively, yeah. Having said that one of those reviews was the lady that said it was better than better than it had any right to be. But it's an ongoing debate.
We've obviously written a good song. Whether it's the right song for that moment is your question, isn't it? But you've got the opportunity to experiment. You can try songs and then put it back if it doesn't work as well.
It's nice, with a 24-day run or something, or whatever we're doing here at the Fringe. We can put in a new song in a couple of days' time, because we've got a break tomorrow, so we're going to rehearse this new song that we've written.
You have already written it?
We have written a new song, and we can teach it to her, then play it for Ali, who's the director, Ali Watson, and Letty and Theo, the script writers, and see what they think of it, see if they think it's appropriate or better, and then play it for the cast and see if the cast think it's better, get as many opinions as we can, and then put it in for a night, see if the audience seem to respond to it better, and then if not, just whack it back out and put in the old one.
It goes in the trunk
for next time.
Yes. Now I've got to ask you, the question I'm interested in is the character, is it Abigail who's the Christian?
Amanda.
Yeah. Because they do all begin with A.
It's always confusing.
Amanda is she's a fairly evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
She wears her religious beliefs on her sleeve.
Yeah, indeed.
And then, I hope I'm not revealing too much, but she doesn't always live up to those ideals.
No.
I think that would be fair to say.
Yeah.
Although she does find redemption, so she has a good story arc. And it is that twist of sort of becoming the villain and then finding a way out of being the villain, her redemption.
Yeah.
There's a song where she's at the apogee of her evil, shall we say, which is a great song, but I couldn't help but notice from my position in the audience that the audience response to that song was a little more muted than it had been to other songs in the score. And you, Ronan, I saw you at the piano pulling a face to your colleagues in the orchestra, meaning I think you'd clock that as well.
That's funny, actually, because that was actually the only night that I noticed it. Before that, because that comes...
Maybe you had the Baptist in or something.
I don't know, but before that...
Have enjoyed that.
Before that, we have Guilty Pleasures, and then that song. They're both quite funny songs. It was always our belief that since putting it in front of an audience, that they really, really enjoyed those couple of moments. And that night particularly, I remember thinking, oh, what's happened?
As the musical goes, it's probably the most close to the bone.
It has a very offensive joke in it as well.
Yeah.
That can, if it goes down badly, there's a joke about Jimmy Savile, and obviously I won't give it away. Obviously a very touched subject, so people are almost ready to have a reaction to it, not really knowing what it said. As it goes, it actually is highly offensive. But
I think
we like the reaction, though. We sit in the box every day going... And the louder the ooh is, we kind of the better we think it's gone down.
I think the important thing to remember, though, is the character is, as she says in the first line of the song, I was always taught to fear the fiery depths of hell. So she's brought up as a Christian, but the important thing is that she has completely misinterpreted the values of Christianity.
Yes, because she actually says, God hates a loser.
Yeah.
Got a great response.
Yeah. She's gone to her priest in the song and asked him what to do, and he says that the important thing to do is to think, what would Jesus do? And she looks at the Bible and completely misinterprets what Jesus is about, and decides that with every good you do, you give yourself opportunities to do a little bit of bad.
She basically makes it work for her.
Yeah. She says it's basically a point system.
So I think, and then bringing that back to the joke, then I think it's important to remember that obviously her values are a little bit twisted.
Yes.
So it's not to be taken as our beliefs.
It's not our beliefs. That it is the belief of the character, not us.
But I'll tell you what I thought was interesting about that was that because it's quite an interesting. We're living in a post-Dawkins world. There's a real genuine debate in society about secularism versus religion.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly valid debate, whatever side you take on it. There we are. I've covered my bases there. But that is going on at the moment, and it has been going on for years, and I'm sure it will go on for many years more. We're in a turning point in British society, actually, and probably Western society, but certainly in Britain. But so we've got an evangelical Christian being painted as the villain. Mm-hmm. And that feels quite bold, even in these days.
Yeah.
And then she's got this, the I Am Evil song. It's not I Am Evil, but she lays out a manifesto, and it's not that nice. But then the clever thing is, you don't leave a nasty taste in the mouth if people were getting that sense, because you then immediately find a way of redeeming her, and through her own beliefs as well. She comes out a better Christian, not just a better person, within her own way of living. So I think that's a very neatly done. So that I think is actually the neatest twist of the whole thing. I really like that moment because you lead the audience up a particular path, or so it seemed on the night I went. And then you go, aha!
Yeah.
And then you take us through a side door into the golden fields of Elizabeth.
Yeah. I mean, this is not necessarily related to but I guess it is related to the show. But I just think it's I think sometimes people are just wary about touching those kinds of subjects.
Just because it's too hot to handle.
Yeah, and they think they might be offending people, or I don't think, it's not offensive to say that someone who happens to be a Christian has misinterpreted their values. I mean, it's not painting a picture of Christianity as a whole at all. In fact, it's doing the opposite. In fact,
and so
giving Christians an excuse.
I think sometimes people will hear what the subject matter is of the song and just immediately be like,
let's steer clear of that. Move on. Next song.
We're okay with the Jimmy Savile stuff. This.
But as you say, it's more than that. It comes back round, and I don't think any Christian person would be offended by that character.
No, it's not an attack at all. It's not an attack on anyone. In fact, almost everyone, whether they be clever or stupid.
Yeah,
or whichever strata in the class structure, everyone comes out of it with something pretty much.
And we're quite used to doing that, given that we wrote a show called Be Fruitful and Multiply, which was all about religion.
There was some stuff in there that would definitely have been considered to be blasphemous, perhaps.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
Religion song.
Yeah, there were things that religious people cannot have felt that comfortable with. But obviously, with a show that's an hour and a half long about religion, you're bound to step on some toes.
If this isn't a walk in the park. And the Garden of Eden's got lots of man traps. But so that character alone is given a really interesting journey, which you pay off brilliantly. And but you lead the audience up this path, and I think you do that really well. I think once again this is the narrative, then building up to the songs and the scores. So, do you have a favourite song? Do you have a favourite moment in the piece? I'm expecting 3 different answers.
I really, really like Alice, the kind of shy character who was bullied at school. Doesn't really know her place. Like she just wants to get out of this kind of school environment. And she actually is excited to move on to the working world. She has these little snippets which recur 3 times, and each time they're a little bit different. The first time she's singing about how she's really excited to get into this new working world. The second time she's saying she realises that actually she's found her place, that she's really starting to fit in, and that it's time to let go of her past a little bit. And the third time she's feeling very dejected and
complete circle right back round to ends with
almost,
people are predictable.
Almost her giving up. But I think I like the sentiment of it, and I really like it musically. I'm quite proud of us for that. Well done, chaps.
But you did it at a much more realistic level.
But I think that's probably for me one of the most touching moments. I think.
So are you still touched by it, having seen it again in performance? That's quite interesting.
I mean, it very much. It depends, I guess. Sometimes
the actress Phoebe Pimmelt, she does it very, very well. It's very, it's very sweet. So it's easy to feel quite touched by it, and the character is almost so tragic that you can't help but feel a bit sorry for her.
And your favourite song, piece, aspect, moment?
It does tend to change. I usually have a least favourite song at a given time rather than a favourite one. But probably my favourite is the opening song called "Opportunity Knocks," because it was a song where we wanted to meet all the interns, all 5 interns. So they all have a little verse, and then there's this chorus which contains all of them, and there's a lot of wordplay in it, and it was the first time we'd really had a lot of fun with wordplay, and it's very gratifying to hear the audience just laugh at the wordplay itself. Maybe a good example is the Amber, the reprimandee character, sings, "I've got too many teachers who insist on being preachers. I wish they'd all sod off and die, feel it's like being in the second Third Reich." So there's a lot of crossover lyrics and stuff like that, and lots of lyrical puns, and those themselves are getting really good reactions, which is
It also sets out the stall for the show, if you don't mind me saying. Because the moment you hear that song, you know that you've got to concentrate, but it's going to be worthwhile, that someone's put some craft into it, and that's not always true. It's not just going to be a bumpity bump.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually, right, this is something I've got to engage with.
Also, there's
new song time. Thank you.
Also, there's
I'm going to make your head even bigger now. The vocal arrangements are done very well because it's all mostly in unison or individuals, and then suddenly there's a burst of a very, very nice harmony, which and a nice chord that's played, and it suddenly lifts at that point, and they come to the front of the stage and sing it. And I think from that point the audience are very, very hooked, which is really good. And it's obviously it's a song that serves a purpose, which is cool, but also it's witty and kind of very catchy, I think, because it's our curtain call number as well. So that's probably my favourite.
I'm not sure if it was the curtain call number when you saw it, but it is
No,
now.
it wasn't the baby, sorry. No. Oh, well, there we are, further changes. Yes. Same question to number 3, please.
I think from looking when we're sitting in the lighting box and looking out into the audience and seeing them doubling over with laughter in guilty pleasures is there. For me, there isn't a better feeling. When that happens, it's lovely to see, and I think for that reason, I think that is the certainly funniest song in the show. And when that happens, I think lyrically we're quite proud of it, and it's nice to see that. I don't want to say I've got a favourite song because it's, as Harry said, it's easier to look.
But also, I think on the surface, that song maybe isn't the funniest in the show. But when you get it, when you see it on stage, what's going on?
Agreed.
It's quite hysterical.
Songs are more than just words and music.
Of course,
They are the acting, they are the context, they are where have we got up to so far and where are we going since.
Yeah.
So yes, in that sense, your baby has to be in the right place in the album.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Ali's decision to do this, but he made a decision, I think, to include the girl he's singing about on the stage, reacting to the offensive things he's saying, and without her on stage, the song probably wouldn't even be funny.
Well, actually, because we did a reading in February in Bristol, and we at that stage, the song was actually in Act 1 then, and it was just Bertie solo on stage singing, and it was getting a good reaction, but it wasn't. We were a bit confused. We thought it would get a better reaction than it did. Right. So
when I remember when we wrote it, I didn't think it was a particularly hysterical song. I didn't. We thought it was a nice song. We enjoyed it musically, but we didn't come away going. No, we didn't come away thinking that's bloody funny because we're not that arrogant.
Bloody ruddy funny.
Yeah, indeed. But there's another moment that I particularly enjoy, and it's in the second song, Internship Rule. And it's basically a list. There's 3 characters on the stage, and they each take in turns to say take it in turns. There we go. That was accidental. That was accidental as well.
It's almost
just coming naturally. And they list everyday kind of intern things, menial office tasks that they're given. So rearrange this, taste my coffee, and it's very quick.
Clip my toenails.
Clip my toenails, brush this off me, book the spa, dry cleaning, park my car, and so on and so forth. And when they get it right, it's very difficult to do because it's quite quick.
The band members said they'd like to hear a Daft Punk remix of it.
Very funny. And when they get that right, I think it's great because it's very unusual.
It's very tough.
It's not easy.
It's such quick fire.
Yeah, but it's
but
great.
Rewards when you get it right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The harder the summit, but if you make it.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, because forgive me, there's 2 characters we've not spoken about yet, who are the sort of the idiot middle management. You've got Jenkins and the other character.
Jenkins and Hamilton.
Perkins, as a reviewer from Broadway Baby called him. It's always nice to know they're on the ball over Broadway Baby. Well, they gave us 3 stars, so we can say what we like.
I prefer Perkins. It's brilliant.
We did actually, after reading that review, consider changing him to Perkins.
By popular demand. But those 2 characters, I'll tell you why I think they're fabulously interesting. Because, I'm sure deliberately, because you're a man of distinction and intelligence, but I am, in real life, a middle manager of no particular importance, in an office not entirely unlike the one we've been describing and writing our story about. And over the years, the traditional career path is you start not being a manager, and then you get to about as high as you can get, just doing the profession in which you find yourself, and then you have to go into management if you want to go any further or earn more money. Yeah. And You've got a mortgage, hooray! But that's the point when when you're a manager, you're not in charge. You're actually the bottom of the next rung up, which is the managers above you.
Yeah.
And you're given all the grotty jobs as managers to do. And some of those actually affect people's lives. Up to that point, you've been, your staff's lives. And Jenkins in particular, or Perkins as we now think of him, actually overtly says something that I have been through in my own management career, which is actually this is stopping me being the kind of person I want to be. I believe myself to have integrity as a person, and I believe in treating people well if I can manage it, and I'm being instructed to do things which are not good, or even not. Even if you've got to do something bad, there's a better way of doing it than the way I'm being instructed. So when do you actually give up being a manager? Where's the balance, the threshold? I'm making a big meal of this, but I was so delighted to hear actually stated out loud something that I have grappled with in a real life situation. Of course, there's more going on in this case. But forgive me. Did you just stumble across that? Is it human?
It's not even just that he's he's acting differently because he's explicitly told to, but just because that's the expectation in the office environment, and he just struggles to live up to that. But he does his best.
They feel the need to be alpha males.
Yeah, exactly.
He's never quite there, is he?
No, he never quite gets there.
Although even the alpha maleism from the other character's name, Hamilton.
Yeah.
He's identified as being a proper alpha male, except he's very much a beta alpha male.
Yeah.
He wouldn't cut it with the big.
But in this environment,
it's a sort of role reversal. When Cicero walks on stage, Hamilton sort of shrinks into himself and becomes a bit sycophantic and
How's your weekend, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Having been so alpha male up until that point, but they also, as well as doing that interesting thing that they are within the office, they serve they act as the antithesis slightly to Fiona, who's not happy and who can't enjoy work. They do enjoy themselves in the office, and they have a relationship between the two of them, and even with Fiona, a sort of a very specific type of banter or a camaraderie and a friendship. And it's very clear that they're probably not friends outside the office, but they're very good friends within the office. And that's something that I particularly wanted to come across, because it's something that is definitely true of being in an office, is that you have very close friends, but they're sort of just office friends. And they're really interesting and slightly strange relationships, but they're really important relationships. And they represent those two characters. And it's probably why they're so likeable, because they're the good thing about being in an office and being in middle management or whatever, or being that person. There's a lot of fun to be had. And so, that's why I like them so much.
I also think that they serve a purpose in helping to sympathise and empathise with Fiona, because they are traditionally, macho men, slightly bigoted and not particularly intelligent. One say maybe.
I think that's fair.
You feel for her because she has to put up with this crap, even though you can tell that she is an intelligent person. She's not, she's not like them at all. And I think that serves.
Well, she cares.
She does
She's
care.
still got the candle burning of care.
Yeah.
And they don't.
No, they don't. No. And so I think that's a nice touch that they add. That's maybe not so evident on the surface, but I think that they do serve a purpose there in that respect.
And of course they do have their own sort of their story reaches an end in a very profound and physical way, shall we say. Now, the night we went to see it, that was a full-on experience, if I may say. I wanted to get some popcorn.
We might as well explain what it is if we're going to talk about it. But basically it culminates in these two characters having a big kind of almost quite graphic embrace.
15 years of suppressed homosexual love comes out in about 30 seconds.
And that can be messy, if I may say.
Well, you say messy.
Speaking from experience.
I mean, it literally has been messy. There's been 4 nosebleeds.
And not even just from the same person, they've alternated.
Alternate nights, bang, flashing in the face.
So Kleenex is involved, but not in the way you'd expect.
He walks... He walks on during the curtain call, often with a bit of Kleenex in his nose.
Yes, well, you've got to give all when you're an actor.
Yeah.
They really go for it. They really go for it.
Honestly, full credit to them.
Yeah, Joe O'Toole is enjoying it far too much. Tom Manson, who plays Jenkins, has been saying that Joe O'Toole, he's going in with an open mouth.
They've been practicing quite a lot actually back at Crap Flat. No, we're rehearsing. We're rehearsing.
Besides, there's nothing on television.
Crap Flat doesn't have a television.
Oh, well,
Nice
Flat does though.
But, forgive me, I'll tell you what, that was great because, things have moved on so much, but actually when that happened, the audience went, hurrah!
Yeah,
absolutely.
It gets a wonderful reaction.
I mean, it gets
unexpected.
the biggest reaction of the whole show, and then the band are playing sort of reprise of Men in the Workplace in a romantic style in the background. Almost, the audience is so loud though that it's almost inaudible.
I must tell you, I don't think I'd pick that up.
No,
It's a really great. I really like the idea of that kind of working.
There's a violin playing Men in the Workplace, which is a really boisterous song originally in a very romantic style. At that point, I think we'll probably have to get that.
Just crank it up.
Crank that up because it's very funny.
I think the two lines that they then say after this huge embrace that they share, they kind of pull their shirts down and straighten up a bit, and then they say and Jenkins says, "Back to work. How's your work?" and they just walk off stage, and that's them done. I think it's a lovely little couple of lines there from that.
It's great because also it gives you that moment of raucous comedy.
Yeah, and also it kind of
you've got some tenderness going on as well, haven't you, and real stories as well.
Yeah.
So
But then you also kind of understand. You're like, okay, so this is what's really been going on there behind the mask.
Yeah, it sort of makes, and it's good as well that Hamilton, the more boisterous of the two, leads the kiss. So you actually, it kind of flips it further than you'd expect. That actually they've both known sort of all along, and and it doesn't feel forced, which is really good, and there's some chemistry between them that's kind of been leading there. And I think if it didn't happen, no one would have expected it, but when it does happen, people can look back and go, actually, yeah, that was kind of obvious, which is brilliant because actually it's not obvious. I don't know if that makes sense. That actually makes no sense, but it's really good that it doesn't seem gratuitous or thrown in, because it never was. It was always planned that they were deeply in love. They just didn't know it yet.
I think because I think it's very easy to miss as a thing because of everyone knows about the macho man and that kind of thing. So you think that's simply all they are. But when you look, as Harry said, when you look back, there are moments when the golf club scene.
You'll have to come and see it again, though.
rather thinking I might.
And no, it's certainly one of my favourite moments. It's mad respect to them.
And where do you go afterwards? Because this can't be the end for Take It Interns, surely.
I don't know. I mean, we very much just want to get the Fringe done first before we kind of start thinking about that. I mean, we've had a few people come up to us and say they're interested in having the rights to it and things like that.
So there is interest.
Yeah, there is interest.
Yesterday, someone was inquiring about the rights. They seemed, very, very keen, which is great. I think it's certainly a show that you could put on quite easily in a university, particularly where you've got the people of the right age group, and so
it's set in a nondescript location, so we're all ready for the Broadway transfer.
Yeah, that's what's on the desk.
But I don't know really. I mean, I think there are still things that we would want to work on, and obviously this has been really useful for us to see that.
Gauge what's good.
Before we were to think about handing it over, but I'm not even sure we would want to hand it over so soon.
I think not yet. It's not ready, but
even I just for selfish reasons wanted to keep hold of it and for us to reap the benefits of it rather than someone else.
But also I think as well we sort of see it as we've been at university for 2 years now, and we've done one musical first year, one musical second year, and we've got a third one that we've planned.
My next very question.
Yeah. I don't think we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. But there's more. But you do want to work.
We want to write this third show for our third year, and that's sort of the one that we're going to put more time in than we usually do, and try and make that one.
This is up.
The one that the big one.
Your legacy piece.
But also I think obviously we feel like this show is a vast improvement on last year's, and we hope that we've learned even more that we can then take forward and implement into another piece next year as well.
The Fringe is such a learning curve, I think.
Yeah.
It's very full on. It smacks you in the face. There's not. You don't really get a run up. You get here and then it's bang.
You're on. You don't even get to rehearse in the venue, do you?
No.
No, well, actually, Steve Venue's very good. They give you they open all their shows on the 31st, and they'll give you the 30th as
a grace day.
Yeah, they basically run their entire schedule on the 30th, so everyone gets a dress rehearsal.
Ours was at 1 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock.
That was our tech rehearsal.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's traditional for tech.
Yeah. For them to
the most dangerous of all performances must always be done when everyone's most tired.
Yes.
That's the rule of theatre.
Yeah. But yeah, it's. I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. We need a bit of time to collect our thoughts, I think, and after get back from Edinburgh, have a few nights sleep, and then think about it. Yeah.
I've got to ask: is there a recording, or is there going to be a recording?
Well, I mean, we recorded a couple of songs.
Lots of people have been asking that. Though.
Yeah.
I think if we have enough money at the end of this, because we're sort of getting to the point where we're about to break even, which is nice. It might be a good use of our money to do a cast recording, because a lot of people have asked. But we've probably used our friend Tom Fitz, who's a producer, and he's recorded stuff with us and for us before. And just get the cast all round to his house in London. He's got a sort of studio set up, and just record it with this cast, because it's a lovely
original Edinburgh cast.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what people have liked, and I think they sound great, and I think it would certainly. There's a few very catchy songs that people are going away singing. So it's slightly frustrating that they can't find those online. Or
it's not that frustrating because they just come back and see it.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's a benefit.
Helping us to break even.
Yeah. Think of all those audition people.
Yeah. But I mean, we recorded Opportunity Knocks when we did the reading with the workshop cast, which is slightly different to the cast that we have now. So obviously it'd be great to get these guys to lay down the version of that. We've also got Guilty Pleasures recorded with Ed singing, and with its current arrangement as well. But
and have you also got the slightly sarky comments from the?
No, that's an interesting idea.
That should be added, I think.
It's nice.
Because she does good line in what the F, you know. That's really not. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something we should really think about, and actually as soon as possible, really, because I mean, if we leave it even,
you've got to do what the impetus is. Real.
Exactly. Your
momentum.
Before people forget about us,
which inevitably will happen.
Yes.
But I think it's definitely something we're interested in. Yeah.
What can I say? As you know, I consider it to be a 5-star show. I think it's fabulous, I really do. I think it's touching and clever and funny, and there's lots of craft. It's musical, it's well written. I don't know what else I can say about it. So it's been a real pleasure speaking to you twice, if I may say, about it. And thank you so much for giving me your time. But I hope, let me say this now, I hope this won't be the last I hear of Take It Interns. I hope it won't be the last I hear of you as a creative partnership.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for being so kind about the show and everything. It really means a lot to us when people so lovely.
So you did all the work.
I
just came along and watched.
But that's why it is so lovely, I guess, to know that it is paying off, or at least people appreciating it, and it's lovely.
It's nice to talk in detail as well. It's quite rare. You sort of, having been here for 20 minutes now, it's nice to talk about the show in depth.
It's easy to get people in the bar that say, "Oh, I really liked it," and you kind of sit there nervous with a pint, going, "Thank you very much. It's very sweet of you." But
particularly Perkins.
And you kind of don't really know what to say, because you don't want to bore them with.
But also once we get
you haven't. That's the point.
Oh, good.
But then once the three of us are here, I think we come spilling out with more stuff, because we usually latch on to it.
In fact, have you got another half an hour?
Actually, no, we haven't. We're running off to something at noon, actually. So finally, all power to your elbow. Let's meet again next year.
Fantastic. Yeah, we look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Musical Talk. Oh, there we are. That was Ronan Shields, Harry Zundel and Ollie Feather, and I expect to hear great things from them in the future. And to hear more about that show or other shows that team might produce, go to www.1945productions.com. I gave Take It Interns 5 stars when I saw it first, called it enthralling and surprisingly touching. And then once I'd seen all the shows I was going to see in Edinburgh this year, I made it the 2013 Musical Talk Pick of the Fringe, and deservedly so. But we have one more interview that connects with the Edinburgh Festival Fringe this year. Regular listeners of this programme will remember that last year, in 2012, one of the shows about which I waxed lyrical, that's quite a difficult sentence to say, was the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, the great, almost cult musical by William Finn. It was beautifully produced by Patch of Blue Theatre, a theatrical company led by Caroline McCaffrey and Alex Howarth, who were responsible for this year's title of show, another 5-star show. They have a brilliant track record in producing marvellous musicals for Edinburgh and beyond. In that show, which had a marvellous cast, the character of William Barfay, the boy who spells with his foot, was played by a very young promising actor by the name of Tom Mackley, and he invested that character with a huge personality and also the emotional complexity that was within that character as written, but which is quite hard to get across. He was obviously an actor to follow, and then this year he was in 2 shows in Edinburgh. He was in Forest Boy, a new piece of writing, commissioned by the Scottish Conservatoire, which is the biggest acting school in Scotland, it's the equivalent of RADA, and also in their showpiece production of Avenue Q. But to show that there is life beyond the Fringe, and indeed beyond an acting school, I caught up with Tom Mackley in Harlow at the Harlow Playhouse, because delightfully, Patch of Blue, in association with Ash Productions, and indeed the Harlow Playhouse, are taking the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee on a national tour, starting in Harlow and then travelling all over Britain until it finally closes again in Eastbourne in the middle of November. There'll be more details about that at the end of the programme. But first, let's hear an interview with Tom Mackley, in which we discuss Forest Boy, Avenue Q, and his triumphant return to the triumphant production of the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Musical Talk.
I'm Tom Mackley, and I'm currently performing in the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
But you have a big career already, even though you've only just graduated, I think. Have you not?
Just graduated, yeah.
From the Scottish Conservatoire?
Well, yeah, from the Royal Scottish Conservatoire, or RSAMD as it used to be known as.
Yeah, the Academy, as we all know.
The Academy, yeah, as everyone knows it, and then they decided to
posh it up a bit.
And well, why not?
And you have a big history on the Fringe, because I saw you in the 25th Annual Putnam Spelling Bee. I get all the words wrong on that. Last year in 2012.
That's
and
right.
I saw you in 2 shows at this year's Fringe.
At this year's Fringe, yeah, as part of the RCS season.
Yeah, because they do wonders. They do one big show and then they divide you all up
Absolutely.
into 2 different shows, don't they?
Yeah, usually the plan is that they want to do one big main show, kind of to reflect kind of more commercial musical theatre.
And it's often been a Sondheim in the past.
It has often, for last 2 years,
yeah.
It's been Company and Sunday at the Park the year before that. Although in years before that they did something different, such as like Spring Awakening.
And Iron Curtain they did a few years ago, which was fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, it's an unheard of musical, but it's the only time I've come across it, and it's brilliant.
Yes, so they usually they try something new at the Fringe, but they also at the same time do two newly written works, with kind of as a platform piece, just to show kind of the general public and try and introduce writers to the actual Fringe.
Well, Dougal Irvin's In Touch was the one from about 3 years ago, and that had a full version done in London last year and has been done again since. So these shows they carry on living.
Oh, absolutely. Like Forest Boy.
Let's talk about that now then, because it's very topical, isn't it? As we record this, you're about to reprise your lead role in Forest Boy,
tonight,
which is a show you saw in the Fringe.
Yes,
Tell us about it.
Well, Forest Boy itself is a musical written by Scott Gilmore and Claire Mackenzie, and it basically it's based on a true story of a boy called Robin van Helsen, and he basically showed up in Germany saying that he'd been living in the forest for 5 years with his dad. His dad has died, so he decided to basically come back to civilization, and there was a big uproar because originally thought he might be English, or certainly from the UK. So the BBC took this story and decided to make this big thing.
It wasn't that many years ago, was it?
It wasn't. It was 2011.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, very short, because I have you know, when I saw the piece in Edinburgh with you in it, in the Bunko tent or whatever it was.
The Bosco tent,
The Bosco
yeah.
tent, yes. And I remember thinking to myself, this does seem awfully familiar to me.
I mean, a lot of people did say that. It actually passed, completely went over my head during the time. But yeah, it was, if you just Google it, Google Forest Boy indeed, and you'll have a load of results, certainly news pages cottoning onto it. So they created this piece basically, well, because obviously it turned out that he wasn't all that he said he was going to be. So the musical kind of encompasses the whole kind of reality and dream kind of world, and then they kind of mush them together.
It is blurred, isn't it? That's
very
what it
blurred,
is.
very blurred.
And from the mundane, it suggests that there are worlds colliding as well, because you have the mundane opening where you are Forest Boy. Let's be honest, you are the lead, quite right. So
yes, I'm the Forest Boy, and it actually starts in Burger King because Robin van Helsing he disappeared for a bit when the authorities wanted to get hold of him to kind of sue him because he used a whole load of money. They actually lost him, but he then turned up working in a Burger King. Yes. So the musical kind of starts where his story kind of ends, so to speak.
Yes, from the fantastic to the mundane, almost.
From fantastic,
and it starts with the mundane to go
so
to
it starts
the fantastic.
the mundane and goes into the fantastic, where you have these 4 girls who are kind of it's described as the forces that basically kind of run around and sing these beautiful, beautiful songs, basically reflecting Robin's imagination, or what could be Robin's imagination. I don't know. Everything becomes blurred.
How would you say it was received?
It was received on the whole very well. I mean, a few people, I think, with everything, didn't really get it. I mean, as I say, it was created to be a platform piece, so it's a piece that we were basically saying this isn't finished. However, we're going to present it to you anyway, and this is a work in progress. And a lot of people did love it. I mean, certainly we had we got a certain kind of American following. Certainly, the Americans seemed to really like it from the American schools that were over doing the Edinburgh Fringe. They really
because there's the American High School Drama Festival, isn't it?
Yes,
every year,
yeah, and a couple of them came to see it 2 or 3 times, and so they really liked it, and it was mostly extremely positive reviews, and a producer from the Arcola came along, just watching new works, and decided that he wanted to put it on for a week down in London.
But people who can't get to see it in the Arcola, do we know if there's any way of seeing it again after that, or the sky's still open on that one? Is it?
The sky is still open on that one. I mean, certainly, I think Scott and Claire want to take it further. If not, in the next couple of months, but certainly in the foreseeable future, they see this as a piece to keep on working on.
Yeah. As you say, it's in development.
It's totally in development, and I think it could go a long way. At the moment, it's a 50-minute musical, 1 act, so who knows where it could go.
I've got to ask you my own. Well, let me put my own observations to you. I went to see it, as you say, in the tent in the George Square area.
Yes.
And I noticed a very strong dichotomy, or at least in the audience responses. Maybe dichotomy is too strong a word. I actually saw a much stronger response in one particular banding within the demographic, which is women. The women in the audience responded very strongly to it, possibly more, this is just from observation of the audience I saw, than the fellas in the audience. And at the end, there was a real outpouring of sympathy and emotion, and possibly, lust towards you.
I wish.
But there was a real positive vocal response from the women in the entire tent. It wasn't just. I was watching the audience when the show had finished to see how it was responded to. Is that something you had picked up, or was that just my audience that day?
I think it might have been your audience that day. It's not something that I was completely aware of, but I could maybe understand it.
Because he's a gentleman, isn't he? If not gentle, he's a gentleman.
He is a gentleman, and I think he's, at the end of the day, he's just a confused, kind of scared, although he wasn't so young, but kind of a little boy. And I think a lot of women, certainly mothers, would definitely sympathise with that.
He's because to put in a soft spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, the tagline to it is, I'm all alone in the world, I don't know who I am, please help me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cry for help. And so, I mean, certainly that may appeal more or tug at the heartstrings of certain people over others. I don't know, but I mean, I can totally understand it if on that particular night that the women took to it more than the men, who were probably just saying, "Oh, man up," and
what a fraud.
Yeah, or absolutely, what a fraud.
The wrong, you got caught, so that's your fault.
Indeed, gets caught out.
Now, by contrast, the other character you were playing at the Fringe this year was Nicky.
Nicky in Avenue Q.
Absolutely. And now Nicky's quite bold in his own way, isn't he? He's not. He's an optimist. He's positive. He's friendly.
He's extremely positive.
He's not shy, and even when disaster befalls him, he still is able to look on the bright side, even when the world's closing in on him.
Absolutely. I think Nicky's a great character. He's totally relaxed, if not too relaxed. That's why he gets into so much trouble. He seems to have no kind of prior judgments to anyone, such as Rod, his housemate. He's totally open, I think, to
I'd still
anything.
like you if you were gay. I'm not gay.
Exactly. But I'm not gay. But although whether he is or not at the end of the day is totally up to the audience. Which is quite funny. A lot of people then referred to Rod and Nicky as the gay housemates. Really? Yeah, certainly in a lot of the reviews.
That's odd. I think it's made very overtly plain that he's not, and that he's found someone who looks exactly like him. That's the joke.
That is the joke.
How did you feel when that was presented to you? The Conservatoire said, right, we're going to be doing Avenue Q. Did you think hooray, or did you think? Because I tell you the thing I thought was interesting. I mean, it was beautifully done. And I think you did it because it's not you actually puppeteer with someone else, don't you?
Indeed, it's 2-man puppet.
Yeah. But being such an oddly franchise musical, and bearing in mind that if I went to see it in London or somewhere else, the puppets would look very similar. The animation and the life that's been put into these characters is put in through you as the performer vocally and the physical manipulator of the character, at least to 50%. But do you feel that that's a good way of showcasing you and your colleagues' talents, or did you feel that there was actually going to be an extra distance built in because of that?
Well, at first, I certainly thought, I approached it with a bit of trepidation because I was thinking, well, this is our final year show, and surely it might be showcasing our puppetry skills, of which we don't really have any training in officially as part of the course. So I thought it would be showcasing that as opposed to our actual performing skills. But at the end of the day, performing is performing, and if anything, if you can sell a particular feeling, or you can tell a story with your face and also with a puppet, then I think that showcases you in an even better light. So I was actually, at the end, I thought it was a bit of a stroke of genius that they did that at the end, and certainly the audiences took to it.
They did, and forgive me, you presumably had talent scouts and producers in the audience. Did you and your colleagues note that you were still being spotted for the talents that you were putting on display? It wasn't.
Yes. Yeah. No. Absolutely. I always think that no, it hasn't hindered us at all. In fact, I think with some of us, it's certainly helped, and it's just a great show to be part of as well. It's great fun, but at the same time, it has actual serious messages. It does have an actual purpose to it. It's not one of these musicals sometimes that are just willy-nilly, and
it's not just throwaway, is it?
Just created to make a bit of money. The writers actually wanted to say something, and it was genuinely a pleasure to be part of. And also we got to learn new skills with puppetry, and by the end of it, I didn't want to give Nicky away. Nicky felt was a person of his own. We'd be sitting backstage having conversations with him.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, everyone was. Everyone became very protective over their puppet.
And you were puppeteering with someone else. It was an interesting, as a member of the audience, because the great conceit is that you can see the puppeteers. Mm-hmm. So you were providing the voice talents.
Yes. And the left hand.
That's right. But there was another puppeteer with you, and she, if I remember rightly, had to...
She did the right hand.
That's
yeah,
right.
So I did the head and the left hand, and she basically was the right hand.
But it was quite intimate for the two of you, as it is indeed for several of the other characters who have these double puppeteers.
Yeah.
Because in order to stay in, so that you don't get separated and the puppet gets split, presumably, you do have to hug on to each other. It was quite interesting that you sort of walked on stage, not just you and your colleagues all walked on stage like octopuses wearing black clothing. That's how it seemed. There were more limbs than you'd expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and then you had the limbs of the characters.
Suddenly, kind of the characters may have had 4 legs. I think it was difficult. It was certainly difficult to start with, especially when you wanted to play with the character. You wanted to try different things out. But you then having to remember that somebody else is also attached to you.
It has to be symbiotic.
So
it doesn't work,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there had to be, basically your process had to become our process, so to speak. So the process that you usually go in when approaching a character, character notes, or just indeed playing with the script around the stage, you had to remember that it was involving somebody else. So I always would think that her name was Petra, and she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It felt by the end of it, she could read my mind. Even when I was trying things out on the actual stage, she'd be totally with me. Yeah, she by the end of the day, or by the end of the run, it almost felt as though by a look we could kind of instruct each other. So.
Well, that can only be counted then as a success, because that unity between the two of you, it adds to the unity of the character that you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing is if everyone doesn't, it doesn't seem to hinder the character of Nikki, then it's definitely a success.
So those were the two shows you were in this year, but of course you're in a very interesting situation of your future is your past, in the sense that you're about to go on tour with the Putnam Spelling Bee, which is a show that you were in 2012.
Absolutely.
So, you're a veteran of the Fringe.
Summer 2012. Well, yeah, I've done 3 seasons. But yeah, so what we did last year with Spelling Bee, although it's not being totally repeated. It's a
new production with the same production team, isn't it? And several of the cast. Is that the way to look at it? Would you say?
I think so. It basically Petra Bloom. Basically produced. They put on Spelling Bee last year, and now the Harlow Playhouse and Ash Productions are backing this production and producing the new and improved, I like to say, Spelling Bee, which will be touring around the UK. So we picked up a new MD in Lee, and obviously Ken. This is Lee Freeman, and Ken's going to be choreographing it. And Alex is still directing it.
Alex Howarth, yes.
Alex Howarth. Sorry, I'm a total bore trying to name drop down here. But
these are great. We know them on Musical Talk. They're all really talented people. So
they're absolutely brilliant team to be working with. And so a couple of the cast members have been replaced, but a lot are the same. And I was lucky enough to be asked back.
Now, you play one of the central characters. You are William Barfay.
William Barfay, and you pronounced it completely correctly. Well done.
I was taught by you.
Yeah.
Now, I love the character because he's not sweet in the way that the other characters can be. Often are.
Yeah.
So the first question, I suppose, is if a character is like a comfortable pair of trousers, was it like getting back into a comfortable pair of trousers when you came back to William Barfay, or are you having to look at him afresh with new cast, new production?
Yeah.
And how difficult is it to find new nuances to a character you've already sort of explored?
I think in certain aspects it was like coming back to a comfy pair of trousers. It was a character that, although we didn't do a particularly long run, it was a month's run.
Yeah.
So you get very used to the character. And so going back to it, I think it's a danger actually to try and repeat it, because this is different. This isn't the Edinburgh Fringe. We're going on a UK tour. It's going to different audiences who aren't necessarily the Edinburgh Fringe audiences. So I am, and I'm in the process right now of trying to rediscover my concept of William Barfay and why he actually is there and why he's doing those things. And I've also now come off a year's training as well.
Yes.
So
your professional skills.
My professional process are. I wouldn't say I'm now suddenly better or worse for that matter. But certainly I now have or refined. I have a better refined kind of professional process that I will undertake, and certainly am undertaking with Barfay.
You're also a very successful character actor, if you don't mind me saying, with an extra year's experience on the clock. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, so it will be interesting then to see I think it's definitely Barfay kind of being developed. Yes. He's under development right now, but it's exciting to do that.
Now, how would you, for someone who doesn't know the show, because unfortunately it's one of those shows which is a brilliant show but isn't nearly well known enough, and has a sort of cultist following, but that's only because it's never been widely produced in the
in
country.
the UK.
How would you describe the show? How would you briefly, and then how would you describe William Buffet? Because he is an interesting character.
Yes, no, he is. Well, I'd say that Spelling Bee is certainly it's a must-see musical.
I agree with that, by the way.
It isn't just about spelling, certainly. It is about, which I think what most great musicals are based upon is obviously relationships, but certainly adult to child relationships. I think they are so important, like father to son and mother to daughter, and it's completely based around about that, the pressures of growing up, expectations versus reality.
Familial requirements and
indeed, and certainly what is expected of you isn't necessarily what actually happens, and that can be a lot of pressure when growing up, which is already a troublesome time.
And we've all been through it.
And everyone's been through it. It's something that you will have experienced and will be brought up, and you will probably get emotional about it.
Yes,
which is great.
Just through recognition, if nothing else.
Yeah, just through either recognition or certainly recognitions of the emotions that are being delivered on stage. You can totally empathise with pretty much every character.
And this is the great success. And this must be, it's both in the writing and the characterisation which comes across through the narrative, but also then brought to life by the actors. The characters, the child actors, have all got very different lifestyles. They've all got very different characteristics. They all seem to me to be slightly larger than life characters than you would find in an average class, say. And yet, they're absolutely true to life. You believe in each and every one of them. William Buffet, you would take one look at and think antisocial, bumptious, slightly pompous even.
Indeed, but
you can see the older man he could be if he doesn't have the journey he has in this.
Yeah, and I think though is very important is that they are all extremely human.
Yeah,
and you can recognise each and every character probably in your everyday life. Although it might be slightly heightened in some cases, but certainly you could probably name them off the top of your head. And Buffet is one of those where he seems as though he has complete iron wall, like nothing can affect him.
I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm going. Yes.
I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going. No one else can affect that. No one else should get in the way. I'm going to take all of you down, and I'm going to win. But by the end, his heart is kind of melted. The wall is knocked down, and you actually see that inside this very large little boy is actually this really scared and shy and self-doubting little human being.
Well, I think in a way that his, and indeed your portrayal of the moving journey that he has, particularly at the end, is actually the most moving part of the thing. I think because he seems so uptight and, as you say, impregnable at the beginning, when you see the revelation at the end that actually he'd like a friend and that is possible and all this kind of stuff, and it's that light stuff by which I don't mean light as in insignificant, I mean as in it's all about like rather than love, particularly when you're children. It's being liked, certainly by one's peers and friends, is very important. And it's refreshing to have that in a musical. I mean, that it doesn't have a love story in it as its principle. And in that sense, I think that speaks much more to a great many of us, actually, because we've all been taught on the Disney world of love, but actually the real world of liking or not liking and tentative steps towards friendships and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've all been through that, and we still all go through it even when we get older, for goodness sake.
Exactly. I mean, I think it is very much just kind of it's built on platforms. Kind of people's views of relationships aren't the same. No. And certainly this is. Yeah, thank goodness. Otherwise, it'd be very boring. As you say, we'd be doing the same musical over and over again. But certainly in the case of Buffet, he suddenly found someone who is actually interested in for who he actually is, as opposed to what he can do on the spelling floor, which really, really touches him and really changes him psychologically.
She likes his inside rather than his outside.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I do as well.
Do you like? Yes, I was going to say. Do you like the character?
Yeah, I do. I think you have to. I think with every character that you do, you have to like the character. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. There has to be. I mean, not like being like, oh, I want to be this person, but there has to be a certain characteristic or a certain way you approach it, where you're like, well, I can I see it from his point of view. Otherwise, I don't think you can be truthful to that character.
That's true. Very few people are monsters to themselves.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But can you see anything of Buffet in yourself?
No, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, and I think and that's what I kind of bring.
And it can't
to
just
the
be your
table.
foot, can it?
No, it's not just my foot. It's not. I wish I had a magic foot. That would be amazing. But no, I think certainly the way that sometimes we as humans kind of approach relationships or other people, or we feel intimidated by people, so we then act as though we're the big man. And certainly, I'm extremely small, so I have to act as though I get the small man syndrome all the time. So you can totally relate to that.
You're one of those people that I think stature has nothing to do with it, because I think you're one of those, certainly on stage, you're one of those people that the eyes go to.
Well,
I've seen you in 3 shows now, so I know that to be the case.
Well, that is very kind of you. Hopefully, it's not because I'm tripping up and falling about. Who's that guy? Why is he
in
here?
The clown trousers,
absolutely.
I have an interesting question. Well, I think it's an interesting question. Should you be asked to do this show again in another year's time, but they said, but we'd like you to play a different part, is there a part you'd like to have a crack at? Do you have an unfortunate erection in you? And I ask you advisedly.
Advisedly, yeah. Good job this is on radio. No, I think a lot of the characters are extremely interesting. I don't think there's one boring character, and that goes for both for the males and the females. So I wouldn't say that I'd play a female, but I think
but the characters are
I love the characters indeed. And if I was a bit older, I think Panch would be brilliant. He's a great character. So I'd love to give him a try, but also Leaf Coney Bear as well. He is a lovable character from start to finish.
Softie, isn't he?
He's a massive softie.
He's almost the exact opposite of the William Barfay character.
He is.
He is. You can hear the audience immediately.
The audience completely
connect.
Yeah. Yes. He can do no wrong, I imagine.
If Mr. Honey Bear and Forest Boy ever got together, you'd melt the female population. There's a double act.
Well, maybe I should try and do that. It might help my love life a bit more.
I have no further comment in that. Yeah. Your witness. Well, I hope that this return to Patch of Blue and the Putnam Spelling Bee is a huge success for you. I know it will be, because I've seen you do it already, and I'm very interested to see how you have tweaked the character ever so slightly for the future. But tell me, you're on national tour. How can people find out where the show is and come along to see you?
Absolutely. Well, we have our own website, which is www.spellingbeeuktour.com. So people should definitely visit the website. All our dates are there, as well as you can have a quick preview of all the cast.
It was a terrific show last year, and you were terrific in it. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's not coming to my part of the country, but I'm going to have to go and find it somewhere else.
Brilliant, as everyone should.
Yeah. But also, Tom, about you, because you're an up-and-coming actor, as I say.
Yes.
And how can people sort of stay in contact with you, should they be interested?
Well, I mean, you can either find me through Facebook, just for my name, or follow me on Twitter, which is Minnie Mackley, at Minnie Mackley.
Minnie Mackley.
Minnie Mackley.
That's Minnie as in M-I-N-I,
rather than as in Minnie Mouse. Yes. No. That would be very confusing. But yeah, so M-I-N-I. Not so I don't get confused with the bigger Maccas.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you.
Yes, you too as well.
Great success for you.
Thank you very much.
Musical Talk. That was Tom Mackley. And if you want to see him as William Barfay, and it's a marvellous interpretation of that role, and the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and I cannot see a reason why you wouldn't, here's how you can do so. Go along to the website, www.spellingbeeuktour.com. The tour starts at Harlow, at the Harlow Playhouse, where I recorded those interviews, on the 3rd of October, which is this week as this episode is broadcast, and it runs right up until the 16th of November. And here are the venues at which you can see it. The Harlow Playhouse in Harlow, the Ashcroft Theatre in Croydon, the Queen's Theatre in Barnstaple, the Crescent Theatre in Birmingham, the Lighthouse Theatre in Kettering, the Grand Theatre in Blackpool, the Swan Theatre in High Wycombe. Do you know that's the place where I met Jonathan Cohen for the very first time? The Opera House in Jersey, the Connaught Theatre in Worthing, the Royal Court Theatre in Liverpool, the Hawth, Hawth, in Crawley, and finally the Royal Hippodrome in Eastbourne. And as I say, all of those details can be found on the spellingbeeuktour.com website for this show. Do try and catch it if you can. And what it really goes to show is that there is life beyond the Fringe. Not only that, if you're interested, you can go and see Snakes! The musical, which is having a revival in Reading later in the year in December. Go to the Quite Nice Theatre website to find out details of that. And of course, as you heard, Forest Boy has already made its way to the Arcola in London. It just goes to show that Edinburgh is not a private bubble, but it feeds into the life of musical theatre across the country, and indeed beyond, for the rest of the year and after that. And what a marvellous thing it is. And hopefully, when a show comes your way and you think, oh, I'll go and see that, you'll remember that you heard about it first here on Musical Talk. Well, that really is the end of this run of episodes of Musical Talk about the Edinburgh Festival Fringe for this year. It's my favourite time of the year, as I've said on many occasions, and I hope you'll work out why from the episodes you've just heard. It's such an exciting, exhilarating place to be. And if you love musical theatre, there is no better place to be in August. Maybe I'll see you there next year. Now, I'm going to have a well-deserved lie down for a few weeks, so the next few episodes of Musical Talk will be presented by Nick Hudson and other marvellous presenters of this programme. But before we go, I would just like to pay a very quick tribute to the late David Jacobs. Now, if you're British, you will probably be aware that David Jacobs was an institution on British radio. He'd started broadcasting in the 1940s and continued broadcasting right up until the first Sunday in August this year. Sadly, he died a month later at the age of 87. Now, I can't stress enough how important David Jacobs was to me in my development and learning of musical theatre, Tin Pan Alley, and the kind of music that I would call standards, and that he used to call our kind of music, and quite rightly so. I've been listening to David on BBC Radio 2 since 1986. I was merely 16 then, and I've listened to him religiously ever since, right up until August of this year. It is like losing a close personal friend. I was distraught when I realised he was no longer going to broadcast, and I was saddened when I learned that he had died at the age of 87. But he brought me not only a huge amount of pleasure, but also a great deal of knowledge and understanding of the world of music that Musical Talk likes to talk about. And indeed, I should say that David Jacobs is the recipient of the only fan letter that I've ever written in my life. And I still have a mounted signed picture of him on the mantelpiece in my parents' house, where I was living when I was a teenager. But now he's gone, and with it, the end of an institution, the end of an era. But as Irving Berlin quite rightly put it, the song is ended, but the melody lingers on, and he lives on in spirit in many places, not least in Musical Talk. And I hope that he would have enjoyed any episodes of Musical Talk should he have listened to them, because in truth they have all been broadcast in his image. Well, to sign off today, I'm going to adopt and slightly paraphrase his traditional goodbye that he used on his radio programmes as part of the David Jacobs collection right up until his final programme only 2 months ago. And so this little tribute brings this week's episode to a close. I'll be here at the same time in the future, but until then, or whenever, on behalf of Musical Talk, it's goodbye from me, Thos Ribbits. This episode of Musical Talk presented and edited by Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2013, except for the songs, where the copyright remains with the original creators.
I mean, it really is defined by the moment that he comes on stage. If they take to it then they're in for the long run. And he gets...
Hold that
That's brilliant. Glee-inspired Romeo and Juliet. We should go and see that.